Hi there, George Bruno with you, and I'm having a conversation with my friend Terry Cox. She's an author, a scholar, communications expert, and I really think you're going to benefit from what she has to say. Welcome to the interview.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. We were talking earlier, and something just jumped out of our conversation that within the first 5 minutes. And you said, don't just think outside the box, live outside the box. Because when you live outside the box, you have no competition. And your life has been characterized, and your work has been characterized by living outside the box. Explain that to me.
Well, first of all, I didn't know it. I just lived it. And it took a while before, and others had to provide that kind of feedback to me, and I said, yeah, they're right. First of all, it's very important in whatever you're doing to think both strategically and tactically. And when you think strategically, a big part of that, if you really want to take your success to the next level, is to think outside the box and look for opportunities that not everyone else is doing. Don't do it what your competition is doing. Don't do just the average, the status quo. Go way beyond that and explore possibilities, better solutions, better ways of serving your clients or your patients or your customers, whatever your business is. It's really important to think about what makes you different, what makes you unique and better. I'm talking about marketing to some degree, but it goes deeper than that. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about it from the heart. Mm-hmm. Okay. First of all, it's important to zero in on your passion. What drives you? What gives you joy? When you make a difference for some group or some individual, you get great satisfaction. Zero in on that and say, I want more of that. What can I do? And what can I do uniquely and better to serve others more effectively and get better results?
And that's getting outside yourself, because a lot of people Absolutely. Who are stuck end up kind of living inside their head and not outside. And it really helps to kind of get out of your own thoughts, get out of self-defeating thinking, do things that are different than what you usually do, kind of create new neural pathways.
Absolutely. Get out of your comfort zone.
That was my next thing, because we had to talk about comfort zone. You had said comfort zones are an illusion.
They are, but we need them for a while.
And we need them for a while. Mm-hmm. But comfort zones are things that keep us stuck. Right. How does a person get out of a comfort zone? Because I'm known for saying that everything that you want is outside your comfort zone.
And I also remember you when you yourself were evolving. And for a little while you were stuck, and we talked about that.
Yes.
And how you were working towards getting out outside of that position.
Yeah.
Because it was uncomfortable. Well, first of all, the first thing is, if you have to be uncomfortable being in your comfort zone. What I mean, and it seems like a paradox, but what I mean is that it can't, if it's no longer satisfying, and you're saying, I'm just doing this, but it's not taking me where I want to go. I have more ambition, I have more goals, I have more dreams. I want my life to mean more, to do more, to succeed more. The only way you can do that is to get outside of that. Mm-hmm. And it's uncomfortable for a while. Yeah. I know, I've been there. So I lived outside the box, and I had a self-designed life, and I'm still working on that. We're all works in progress, and that's part of the beauty of all of this is
I don't see you slowing down at all. As a matter of fact,
anything, I'm going to fall off the side.
I was going to say, your energy and your vision has grown so much over the years. When everybody I know is kind of winding down and coming in for a landing, you are still rocking and rolling, literally. And you have such a bright future teaching others and inspiring others. That's where I want to go next. Now, you're involved in a writing project right now with Jack Canfield, mm-hmm. who is known for his Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
And the Success Principles.
And the Success Principles. Tell us about your experience with that.
Okay. So I've worked on a number of projects, and most of it's online. I've not met him personally, but we've been in touch, and he has so many, oh my God, he has his hand in so many different things and provides so many tools. So to unstick, to get people unstuck, and he wants to help people. I mean, this is part of his mission, okay, and he gets great satisfaction from getting people outside of, where they are and where they should be or want to be. And so, and I, yes, I've lived this life, but I had to withdraw for a while. I lost my husband, who was my life partner. He was part of my life for 35 years. And that radically changed my life forever. So I had to adjust to that. And I had to think about, okay, who am I now? What do I do with this part of my life? And it took a while. So I went inward. And that's part of what Jack also recommends, is that you meditate. You give yourself time in silence to visualize this ideal next step on your path, because it is a journey. We're all on our journeys, and it's never a straight path. It's always, it takes twists and turns, and you learn from each challenge you have. But working with Jack, I've worked on a number of his programs, and I was given an opportunity to apply to be a co-author on his next book called The Recipe for Success.
The Recipe for Success.
The Recipe for Success, which is coming out next year. I believe it's the first quarter, no later than June, but it could be as soon as like March or April of next year. And so, just like with Chicken Soup for the Soul, people contribute chapters. So I had an opportunity, and I applied, and I was accepted. And I'm happy to say that my chapter is, I think there were 20 of us in this book, and we're all from all over the world. We're business people, we're entrepreneurs, but we're leaders, thought leaders in a lot of different levels, a lot of different areas. Some are doctors, and some are trainers and consultants, and many, many different walks of life. But what we have in common is a level of success that we want to help others gain and move forward on. And I think that's the common ground we share, and I share that with Jack. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's now taking me in new directions. So,
yeah, it's interesting. The Recipe for Success. There's a lot of people in my audience that are interested in moving ahead in their life, whether it be finances, education, physical fitness, relationships, and so forth. How does a person make the first step out of their comfort zone?
First step, first of all, is when I say give yourself some quiet time and space to visualize your dreams and to think about some of the goals you really want. Don't limit yourself. Be creative. Focus on your individuality and what really turns you on and gives you joy. And then think about if you had no limits, no restrictions, no self-imposed limitations in your head, what would that ideal life look like? Okay. And when you think about these things, jot them down. Start taking notes. And just let your brain,
have a journal of some type.
Absolutely. Have it comes from the heart and it's really a spiritual path, and your intuitive wisdom that's already knows you better than you think you know yourself. Listen to it and let it guide you. And as it does, you'll begin to manifest a clearer picture of what's next. Okay. And then once you have some idea of what might be next on your path and what you'd like to be next on your path, we have this wonderful tool called the internet. And so many experts in so many areas, like Jack Canfield, like Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins, and others, that provide so much wisdom and so many tools. So reach out to them. If certain topics excite you, you want to learn more about them, like meditation, for example, go for it, learn it, do it. Grow from it. That's the best way, is just to start. You don't have to take the whole vision forward. It's one day at a time. Sometimes it's 1 hour at a time. But take that first step, because then you take the next step. And at a point when you start just saying one thing, you take one step, you reach out and let's say you sign up for one resource, and then you act on it. You learn from it. Then the next one will go forward. What I try to do, and this is something that Jack also encourages with everybody he works with, is Try to do 5 things a day that take you closer to your goals once the goals are more clearly defined. Just take 5 steps, and they can be small steps. They don't have to be huge. But all you do is chop away at it. In fact, I easily am overwhelmed, so everything takes me a little bit longer. I don't judge that because I'm making progress, and a lot of progress, but it's slower. So, what my pace is could be different from someone else's, and it's all good. It's all right. There is no one way is the best way. Your way is the best way for you, and that really is how you proceed. And then what happens is those 5 steps turn into 10 steps, and before you know it, you've been chopping away and moving closer and closer to your goals, and that's really what it is. It's first strategic, and then it's tactical steps in small increments that are tolerable, that are easy, that are not overwhelming, where you're like, oh, I have to do this. I have this big vision. I have to get it done. So that's when you say, I can't do it. It's beyond me. And that's when you go back into your cocoon and you want your comfort zone, and you turn on the TV or whatever. You listen. You go online and you get on Facebook and connect with your friends. That's important too. But the main thing is that we what's next in life. Define that. Believe in it.
I noticed,
and commit to it.
You talked about tactics. And so many people are just focused on tactics, but not the overall strategy. And I think when you're just constantly trying see what works here, see what works here, see what works here, but none of those things are funneled under the umbrella of that main strategy. And I think what happens is if people don't come up with an overall strategy for success, for their life, for their goals, for education, for weight loss, for fitness, for relationships, if you're just focused on tactics, you can just spin your wheels for years.
Right. And that's what we do. We're focused on tactics every day. Whether it's, getting something done, paying your bills on time, returning a phone call, following up on an email, whatever it is at work or whatever, work or play or our personal relationships or dealing with our kids and dealing with our families, that's tactical. And you have to do some of those things. They're really required. But when you're thinking strategically, and when I say outside of the box, but you really are thinking big picture and more long term, when you have that vision and it's clear, then some of the steps along the way also become more clear. But you don't just focus on the tactics. You get lost in the tactics. You really have to keep focusing on that overall goal, that overall big picture. And you can keep a journal on it. You could do, there are lots of different ways that you can visualize it. But the main thing is visualize it, describe it, solidify it. You can do a vision board about it, which is basically creating a board, and then you cut out things, you draw things, whatever speaks to you that relates to the different steps you want to take and also your overall goal. And you can kind of create the goal visually and then have all the steps around it.
I've heard
almost like spokes, but
yeah.
The center is the wheel.
Where everything is feeding into that,
Right.
as opposed to just like an octopus, just like all these tentacles going in 1,000 different directions. That goal is in the middle. That's the hub of the wheel, and everything kind of contributes to that.
Correct. And that's really the best way to focus on it. But the problem with a lot of people that get stuck is that they might have goals, but they seem so overwhelming. My goal I want to write my memoir. I'm now in the process of writing my memoir. And I talked about that, I talked about that 3 or 4 years ago, but I had it was a limited view of it. And I wasn't comfortable with what I thought about it at that time, so I put it on the back burner. But it is still very important, and now it's of growing importance to me, and that's one of the things I really want to get done. So so now I'm moving forward, but it's clear to me how I want it to happen this time. And that took a while. Okay, but for a while I was saying, oh my God, I don't think I'm ever going to get this done. But now it's clear, and now that I'm working on, and I just submitted, and it's now been, it's now finalized, the chapter for Jack Canfield's book. It's almost like a springboard for building on my brand and building on what's next for me in this new chapter.
What is your brand?
What is my brand? My brand is, and I'm known for it in LinkedIn and on Facebook, is Terry P. Cox. There are so many of us, especially, I spell my name T-E-R-I. I didn't realize how many of us are in this world. So I differentiate myself. But now my brand is Terry P. Cox, and I'm building my website, terrypcox.com.
And what does Terry P. Cox stand for? When someone interacts with you, when a business hires you, when people look at your history, what are you synonymous with?
I'm synonymous with, just like I think outside the box, and just like my life is self-designed, I also serve my clients in the same way, and I elevate them above the fray by working on projects, by branding them in certain ways. Particularly what I'm most known for is creating win-win partnerships between the private sector, particularly pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies, but other corporations and nonprofit stakeholder groups. I'm very well known for that. And companies that do that right, and create sustainable, mutually respectful, and mutually beneficial relationships with the audience groups that represent the audiences that they want to ultimately serve in their business goal, to meet their business goals and their marketing goals. That's what this is all about. But it's a win-win. So it becomes a partnership, and it can go on the long term, and it benefits everyone. It benefits all participants. The company benefits, and the groups.
This reminds me of a phrase: "No man is an island," and I like what you said about partnerships, because there are things that we have to do as rugged individualists, but there's also things that we have to do in partnership and in harmony with other people. Tell the rugged individualist how important partnership is when moving forward.
The way I describe myself, and I even in my chapter I even say it, that I'm a team player, but I think very much in an individual way. I'm very individualized in my thinking. So it really takes both. And what I mean by that is a team player or a partner. When you say you have to do everything yourself, 1 + 1 is 1. I mean, it's just like you're one, okay? You're doing everything alone. Whether you're a small business, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're part of a team for a larger company, you have to get things done. You have to delegate. You have to work with others. You also, maybe some of the people on your team are more strategic. Maybe some are more tactical. But if you combine the strengths of a collective group, the results, take off. That's really the benefit.
So play as a team, think as an individual.
Correct.
I like that. And your book is coming out at least by June 1st.
Right, and possibly sooner. It could be as early as the first quarter. And of course, it's Jack Canfield's book, but I'm a co-author.
And when that comes out, we're going to have another interview. And we're going to be talking about the implications of the recipe for success. Having a conversation with Terry Peacocks. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.